South Park, Family Guy, Ren and Stimpy, Smiling Friends. What do all these animated series have in common, aside from being varying levels of stupidly and absurdly entertaining? If you guessed controversy, you'd be absolutely right. While Ren and Stimpy's creator is a notorious creep with a laundry list of felonies, the other shows have generally avoided cancellation by cleverly using shock comedy to evoke reactions from audiences, and not shock audiences with their behind-the-scenes depravity. None of these shows or their creators have crossed the line in a way that demanded outright cancellation for their shows. But would it surprise you that a show whose creators built their entire humor on internet culture, past online content, and internet fame would have a large digital footprint that might just be looming over them like a sword of Damocles? Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Oh, come on, isn't your channel practically 99% dedicated to Smiling Friends? Why would you throw stones in a glass house? And to that I say, yes. But my goal here isn't to tear down Zach Hadel. Far from it. I simply want to take an honest look at what might make him seem controversial to people who only have casual knowledge of his background, like Joji fans that found out his prior internet history. To frame this conversation, I'd like to draw a comparison to another controversial figure, one that some might immediately think of when they hear leaked news about Zach potentially being blacklisted due to problematic articles being written about him. This figure also got a shot on Adult Swim, despite his rocky online reputation. I just want to preface this segment by saying I don't condone this person. I just want to acknowledge a very real part of Adult Swim's history, a history that reminds me of the very real fears that people have for Zach. Also, don't forget to leave me a like and a comment below. Additionally, subscribe and ring the bell, especially if you want to hear more news and takes on Smiling Friends from me. So without further ado, to those who have been terminally online for long enough, he does not need much of an introduction. But to anybody new to him, Sam Hyde made headlines for his chaotic antics, including but not limited to openly antagonizing and causing iDubbbz to lose his mind. And on a live boxing competition broadcast hosted by KSI, the thick of it man, he jokingly threatened Hassan Piker.
Hassan Piker, I'm coming to kill you in Los Angeles.
And generally just being a massive edgelord on Twitter, posting edgy content while his show World Peace aired on Adult Swim, his fans were disappointed when World Peace was cancelled, predictably due to Sam's exact pushing of boundaries on Twitter. Even his close friend and writer on World Peace, Charles Carroll, almost completely disowned Sam for this, going on stream multiple times talking about how upset he was with him, in fact even getting drunk on stream with his girlfriend, crying about it. They were all dealt a rough hand.
Season 2 was intentionally sabotaged by publicity stunts to make sure that the green light was canceled. He was warned and even threatened to stop with the stunts. He wouldn't stop. It was an intentional sabotage.
Just as they were on the brink of breaking into the mainstream. Sam even says that Mike Lazo, the head producer of Adult Swim, was even saying that the show was going to be the next Tim and Eric with 100 plus episodes. And while I'll admit there are some parts of World Peace that I'm not a huge fan of, you can tell they really went all out with their visual concepts, so you can understand why they said it would have been the next Tim and Eric, putting a spotlight on some pretty upsetting parts of society. Yet its cancellation wasn't exactly a shock, knowing its creator, and their brand of transgressive, edgy humor. I use this framing because in contrast, Smiling Friends and its creators have completely avoided coming off as edgy as possible online. Both Zach and Michael, despite their edgier paths online, have avoided unnecessary drama. Looking at both of their social media accounts, neither of them had said anything controversial, even during the election, surprisingly. Instead, they have both opted to lifting up fellow artists, promoting their work. Even the most political thing Zach did was a soft promotion for a colorist. What I'm trying to say here is this video, in part, is my attempt to reconcile with the past of Smiling Friends' main guy, the man, the nose, the legend, Zach Hadel. Which in a way, even Michael Cusack views Zach as the star of the show. So no offense to Michael Cusack fans, but most people flock to Oni Plays episodes featuring Zach. So it should be of no surprise that if the show gets any heat, it would be mostly over something he had done in the past. Over the years, Zach has crafted a unique image for himself as the eccentric gremlin with the nasally voice that many wonder, is that even really his voice?
The strongest, so at Comic-Con 2014, this creep, this effing weirdo was like talking to some cosplay chick that I was talking to. I socked him. He went down in about 4 seconds.
He's embraced this self-aware weirdness. He often draws himself in an unflattering way, which oddly sparked one of his first controversies. Some bizarrely claimed his self-portrayal had racist undertones, though nothing could be further from the truth. Personally, as somebody with a nasally voice, and let's just say a more pronounced nose, I embrace it. I even use it in my avatar. I don't hide my schnoz. I own it, and Zach does the same thing. He's a man with a nose and a voice, so that's gonna become a part of his branding. He's never been the guy to draw himself in some cutesy way to hide who he is. But with that minor asinine controversy out of the way, let's now address the elephant in the room. I often see comments on my Smiling Friends videos and posts about Zach's affiliation with a certain someone who we shall not name. Time and time again, people bring it up, and I even get recommended videos about who was friends with this controversial figure. And guess who always comes up in each one?
People like Psychicpebbles.
Zach Hadel.
Psychicpebbles.
Crazy, right? The creator of your favorite show was supposedly defending a predatory creep. But let's take a step back. If you look back at Sleepy Cabin and the episodes that featured this creature and Zach, he never outright defends the more controversial things that this person did.
Like, look, if they looked into you and they saw they somehow found something questionable, like they found you were trying to meet with a girl, or something like that, I would get it. But they're doing their jobs, obviously. But there's also you should.
They took away your education.
He more or less comes off like a naive friend that is just backing up somebody that he doesn't actually fully want to acknowledge is terrible. Even on Twitter, it's difficult to find a single instance where Zach takes a strong, vocal stance in their defense, but more specifically, the really awful things he drew. To me, it just comes off that Zach was friends with a then-popular edgelord who was everywhere at the time. People like Belle Delphine and other e-celebs were also making memes with him. Edgy content and collaborations were just the norm at the time, sadly. And unfortunately, this led to a lot of people turning a blind eye, assuming plausible deniability. I'm not trying to defend these people, but thankfully many of them have since distanced themselves upon fully realizing how bad it was.
This context, I'm not excusing or anything. Everyone was edgy and no one cared about anything. But at the same time, no one, and this is a surprising thing. No one fucking knew about how Shadman would turn on. Or turn to be, I guess. Very surprising for everyone, and I know most people were not gonna like trust this, but I don't think everyone on that list went to the site.
Zach might have even just kept the peace simply because he was in this circle at a time that was friends with him. I just want to add that this is all just my own speculation from looking up everything online on this situation. So if you have anything he might have deleted in the past, feel free to link it below. That all said, years have passed since this, and Zach, along with Oni Plays, have since distanced themselves from the individual. Although some fans harass him to make a statement, I think Zach is wisely avoiding unnecessary controversy for the sake of his own work and his partnership with Michael. Least he somehow end up throwing Michael under the bus because of mishandling the drama. We might see him address this one day, but for now, I think he just doesn't want to overshadow Smiling Friends with controversy, least they suffer the same fate that Rick and Morty did. Sure, it's unfortunate that he was once friends with such a notorious figure, but many others were as well. Zach just happened to have the misfortune of being closely associated with them. If there's one takeaway, it's that Zach is someone who, despite his edgier online presence and occasional questionable hypotheticals,
Tomar, if Jared Falco came up to you, escape prison, and said, Tomar, I want you to be my right-hand man.
He said, please, Tomar,
He said, please, Tomar, please, would you do it?
Call the police immediately. I think they're going to call the FBI.
He flew in on a glider though and said, are you in or are you out, Tomar?
He's continuously evolving from this time he was online. While figures like Sam Hyde base their brand on ironic edginess, Zach aims to be someone more relatable, someone that artists want to actually collaborate with. Instead of burning bridges, he extends olive branches. Even with peers his edgier fans might expect him to dislike, like VivziePop as you've seen in my previous videos. In my opinion, Zach is an unproblematic guy. He's distanced himself from the past, deleting old videos that no longer reflect who he is. I seriously hope he continues to grow and gain more success with Smiling Friends, eventually doing bigger and better things as he's suggested in interviews.
My so-called future is, I hope it's not sitting around going, alright,
We did 500 episodes of Smiling Friends. People go, yeah, that show peaked in season 3. That is what I don't want. That is, you know,